welcome back. Welcome back to class number 28. It's good to have you back. It's really good to have you back. I'm delighted to have you back. I'm glad to see you again. I'm delighted to see you again. It's good to see you again. It's good to see you back. Yeah. Class number 28, we're going to continue with the past conditional. Yes. All right. And are you ready? Well, then let's change to camera number 1. All right. If I had known that I was going to stay in Spain for the rest of my life, honestly, I think I wouldn't have come here in 1974. If God had come down and said, by the way, Richard, yes, a piece of advice, un consejo. Listen, before you make a decision concerning your trip to Spain and your intention of staying in Spain for 2 or 3 years, let me tell you something. If you go to Spain now, you will end up staying there for the rest of your life. No kidding. No me digas. Ande ya. No kidding. Yes. You will stay there for the rest of your life. Really? Yes. Well, my God, that's a tough decision. You mean if I go to Spain now, I'll end up staying there for the rest of my life? And God said, that's right. Come on, really? That's right. My God. Now, if I had known, if God had told me that 35 years ago, I'm not sure I would have come here. If he had told me that 35 years ago, I'm not sure I would have come. Okay? But then going back in that conversation, and God said, well, Richard, yes, it's true. Now, if you go to Spain, if you decide to go, you'll meet a lot of interesting people. You'll meet a very lovely woman whom you'll marry. You'll have beautiful children. You'll have a good job. You will become a teacher. You will meet hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people. You will become relatively well known, and you will even be a television star someday, and you'll be very happy. Do you still want to, what do you think? I said, well, God, the rest of my life in Spain, I'm not sure. You said a wonderful wife, wonderful children, wonderful friends, good job, certain prestige or fame. Well, sounds fun to me. Suena divertido. It sounds fun. Yeah. Well, will I get rich? No. Well, no. Well, you'll get rich in many other ways, but not monetary. Okay, I'll do it. Okay. Now, if God had told me 35 years ago that I was going to stay in Spain for the rest of my life, I probably wouldn't have come. But if he had added, si hubiera añadido, agregado, if he had added the rest of the things about Spain, friends, teaching, work, etc., I would have come. I would have come anyway, yeah. Even if I had known that I was going to come here for the rest of my life, I would have come anyway. Now, let me ask you some questions. How old are you? Okay, you're 34. Okay, 34. Listen, if at the age of 15, when you were 15, if I had shown you a crystal ball, tengo en casa, I have a crystal ball at home. It doesn't work very well because it's the previous generation. The new generation of crystal balls are available now in the department stores in Spain. But the crystal ball I have is the previous generation, and it's starting to have some problems. But if I had, let's go back many years ago when you were 15. If I had shown you a crystal ball, and you had looked into the crystal ball, and if you had seen yourself now trying to learn English on television at the age of 34 with a pen and pencil, carefully watching me and other teachers, would you have taken action at that time to solve your English problem if you had known that now you would be watching me on television and trying to learn? If you had known when you were 18, starting the university or finishing secondary school, if you had known that you were going to have so much frustration with the English language now, would you have done something about it then? Would you have done something about it then? To do something about it. Hacer algo al respecto, al respecto, al respecto. To do something about it. Pues si estás enfadado, haz algo al respecto. Si no estás de acuerdo, if you don't agree, do something about it. If you're angry with the strategy, well, do something about it. Do something. Don't just sit there and do nothing and complain. Complaining doesn't help. Act. Move. Get some things done. Do something about it, all right? Now, if you, at the age of 18, if you had known what you know now, would you have done something about it? About your deficiency with the English language? Carencias? Would you have done something about it? If you had, when you were 20 years old, in the middle of your university studies, if you had known then what you know now, would you have taken a year off to solve the English problem? Okay. Would you have done that? All right. Now, are you married or single? You're married, okay. When did you get married? 12 years ago. How old were you? 27, okay. So you're more or less 39 or 40 or 38, okay, yeah. Now, do you get along with your spouse? Spouse means husband or wife, cónyuge. Viene la misma raíz que esposo o esposa. Do you get along with your spouse? No? Well, if you had, do you know what your spouse is like? Yeah? Is she's difficult, he or he's difficult? Okay. If you had known more about your spouse 12 years ago, would you have married her? Well, Manolo, your wife. If you had known that your wife complains all the time, when you were 28, did your wife complain all the time? Your future wife, she didn't? Does she complain now? Yeah. Well, if you had known that she complains all the time 10 years ago, 12 years ago, would you have married her? Okay. And Ines, is Manolo lazy? Eh? He's lazy. If you had known before, would you have married him? No? Okay. The past conditional, condiciones del pasado. All right. I'll be back in a few minutes. Yes, I'll be back in a few minutes after the break to continue.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, everyone. I'm your teacher, Natasha, and today I'm here with a student that always makes me giggle. What is to giggle? Let's see if she knows. Her name is Diana. Hi, Diana.
Hi. I don't know. I was thinking about giggle, but I don't know
what is giggle? Reírse así como,
okay.
Como tener risa tonta. Okay? So for some reason she makes me giggle, okay? Do I make you giggle?
Yes, a little bit.
A little bit, okay. All right, so at home, as you know, today we have to review everything you saw in the previous class, okay? So we're going to start straight away, okay? I'm going to ask you and Diana many different questions. You have to answer, and remember, you have to answer out loud, okay? It's the only way to practice. A language is there to be spoken, okay? And if you don't speak it, there's no point, okay? So make the most, aprovecha, make the most of this class and your time with us and try to practice as much as possible, okay? All right, let's start. Are you ready, Diana?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm going to ask you many questions and you always have to answer in the affirmative, okay? In the first block, in the affirmative, okay? Third conditional, affirmative. Ready? Okay. Would you have clapped if you had liked the show?
Yes, I would have clapped.
I would?
Have.
Okay.
Yes, I would have clapped if I had liked the show.
Very good. One more time.
Yes, I would have clapped if I had liked the show.
Very good. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. She's going to listen, and then I'm going to go back to her. Okay. Yes, I would have clapped if I had liked the show. You repeat at home. Very good. Yes, I would have clapped if I had liked the show. Let's go back to Diana to see if she can say it again. I'm sure she can.
Yes, I would have clapped if I had liked the show.
Very good, very good. Okay, the next one is for you at home, okay? If you had cheated, would you have confessed? If you had cheated, would you have confessed? Very good. If I had cheated, I would have confessed, okay? If I had cheated, I would have confessed, okay? Or the other way around. If you said it the other way around, that's perfect, okay? I would have confessed if I had cheated. Both ways are perfect, okay? Let's ask Diana, okay? If you had cheated, would you have confessed?
Yes, if I would have.
If I had. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
let's go back to the students at home for one little clarification, okay? Remember, okay, that because this is a very common mistake of putting if and the would clause together. Remember, if you say if, there's no would. And if you say would, there's no if, okay? If and would are not compatible, okay? Let's go back to Diana. Do you want me to ask you the question again?
Yes, please.
If you had cheated, would you have confessed?
Yes, if I had cheated, I would have confessed.
Very good. What is to cheat?
Engañar.
Hacer trampa.
Hacer trampa.
Hacer trampa, okay? All right, one more, okay? If I had forgotten, would you have reminded me?
Yes, if you had forgotten, I would have reminded
you.
you.
One more time. She moves her head. She dances while she's answering. Okay, the other one.
Yes, if you had. I can't remember the sentence.
Okay, I'll repeat, okay? What did I say? If I had forgotten, would you have reminded me? Sorry.
Yes, if you had forgotten, I would have reminded you.
Very good. Okay, the next point we're going to see, okay, is still the third conditional. Okay, so Diana is really, really happy because she loves the third conditional. But you have to answer in the negative, okay? So whatever I ask you, you always, always, always answer in the negative, okay? All right, the first question is for you, so Diana can calm down, okay? Okay, the next, for you at home, okay? Would you have won if you hadn't trained? Would you have won if you hadn't trained? Very good. No, I wouldn't have won if I hadn't trained. No, I wouldn't have won if I hadn't trained. Very good. Okay, the next one is for Diana. Are you excited about this sentence?
Yes.
Yes, I can see it in your face, okay? If Paco hadn't helped you, would you have finished? Do you want me to repeat it? No? No?
I'm going to try.
Perfect. Okay.
No, if Paco hadn't helped me, I wouldn't have finished.
Very good, very good. Again.
No, if Paco hadn't helped me, I wouldn't have finished.
Very good, very good, very good. Because it's just that her confidence isn't good, but she knows the third conditional inside out, okay? All right, the next one is for you at home, okay? If she had fallen over, would she have blushed? What is to blush? Let's ask Diana.
I don't know.
When you become red, yeah? You blush, okay? So my question is, if she had fallen over, would she have blushed? Very good. No, she wouldn't have fallen over if she had blushed. No, she wouldn't have fallen over. She wouldn't have blushed. What am I saying? Today, Diana has confused me totally, okay? I'll go back and I'll say it again, okay? No, she wouldn't have blushed if she hadn't fallen over, okay? Me too. We're all confused with this third conditional. Okay, Diana, are you ready for the next sentence?
Yes.
Okay. If the dog had eaten, would it have attacked?
No, if the dog had eaten.
Hadn't? No, if if the dog hadn't
Eaten, he wouldn't have attacked.
again.
No, if
No, I'd say again. If the dog had eaten.
yes, if the dog had eaten, he wouldn't have attacked.
We're all confused with the third conditional, but grammatically was perfect. Okay, thank you very much, Diana. And thank you at home, okay? And I hope you study a lot for the next class. I hope to see you next time. Bye.
Okay, past conditional or third conditional? Continuemos. Let's continue. Camera one. All right. You remember that Adam and Eve were, well, Adam was the first human being. Yeah, Adam was born, well, he wasn't really born. Adam was formed from dust. When God created the earth, by the way, how long did it take God to create the earth? Do you remember? How long did it take God to create the earth, according to the Bible, to the Christian and Judean Bible? How long did it take God? No, 7? No, it took him 6 days. Yeah, the seventh day he rested, you remember? It took God 6 days to create the earth. And on the third day, when did he create Adam, the first man? Yeah. He created Adam from the dust. Yeah. I imagine that if God hadn't created dust before, he wouldn't have been able to create Adam. So first God needed to create dust. You understand? And then from the dust, God formed Adam, our oldest ancestor. Okay? So, if God had forgotten to create dust before creating Adam, he would have needed to create Adam from another material, maybe from a tree trunk de árbol or something, to create Adam, but not from the dust. Okay? And so we would say, de polvo al polvo, we'd say de tronco al tronco. It would be different now. But in any case, he created Adam. And if you remember, Adam was lonely. Adam felt lonely. Do you remember? He was not happy because he felt lonely. Only the lonely. Okay? Yes. And so, God made the decision to create Eve. Eva. Adán y Eva. Adam, con M al final, por favor, and Eve. So God created Eve. Now, if Adam hadn't felt lonely, God wouldn't have created Eve. Maybe. Yeah. If Adam hadn't felt lonely, God might not have created Eve. Es la forma de decir, a lo mejor no habría creado o tal vez no hubiera creado. Okay? If Adam hadn't felt lonely, God wouldn't have created Eve. Maybe. And God used Adam's rib. You know, costilla, rib. ¿Te gustan las costillas? Do you like to eat ribs? Texas ribs? Me too. Yeah. So God created Eve from Adam's rib. Yeah. If Adam hadn't had any ribs, God would have needed to find another way to create Eve. Yeah. If God hadn't had a rib, any ribs, God wouldn't have been able to create Eve from Adam's rib. He would have needed Adam's shoulder or Adam's collarbone, clavicula, collarbone, or Adam's, I don't know, fingers or joints, or from Adam's tobillo, from his ankle, or from Adam's knee, or Adam's elbow, for example. But he didn't need to. God didn't need to do that because Adam had many ribs. So God created Eve. And they lived together. They lived together in the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden, yeah. And they were very happy because they didn't need to work. No. And if they wanted to have babies, which they didn't, it didn't hurt. It wasn't painful. It didn't hurt to have babies. But they decided not to have babies for the moment, and they were living in paradise. Paradise in the Garden of Eden. And there was a tree in the Garden of Eden that was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, del conocimiento del bien y del mal. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Okay? And God put that tree in the garden to test his two new creatures, Adam and Eve. If God, para ponerles a prueba, to test no solo es examen, un test, es poner, como verbo to test es poner a prueba. And if God hadn't wanted to test Adam and Eve, he wouldn't have put that tree in the garden. And it was an apple tree, okay? And there was a snake in the apple tree. And the snake could talk. And Adam and Eve could understand, especially Eve. She could understand the snake. The snake could talk. If the snake hadn't been able to talk, Eve wouldn't have been able to have a conversation with the snake. Yeah. But the snake was really the devil. That's why the snake was able to talk. Because the devil assumed the form of a snake, a serpent. The devil assumed the form of a snake. If the devil hadn't assumed that form of a snake, that snake wouldn't have been able to talk, because snakes don't know how to speak. Snakes don't speak human language. But in this case, it was possible because the devil entered the snake, assumed the form of a snake. And if he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have been able to talk to Eve. Okay? And the snake, or the devil, convinced Eve, persuaded Eve to try the apple. Yeah. If the snake hadn't persuaded Eve to try the apple, Eve wouldn't have tried it, I'm sure. Because the snake seduced Eve and convinced her to try the apple. And then Eve offered the apple to Adam. He said, would you like a bite? Mordisco. Would you like a bite? It's good. If Eve hadn't offered, estoy con el pasado condicional todo aquí. If Eve hadn't offered Adam the apple or a bite, he wouldn't have taken a bite. If Eve hadn't offered him a beautiful red apple, Adam wouldn't have taken a bite. And if they hadn't eaten the apple, God wouldn't have gotten angry. If they hadn't eaten the apple, God wouldn't have gotten angry. And if God hadn't gotten angry, he wouldn't have sent them out of paradise. Mandarles fuera. He wouldn't have sent them out of the Garden of Eden if they hadn't eaten the apple, and if he hadn't gotten angry. Okay? And so we, you and me, we wouldn't need to work today if our first ancestors hadn't eaten that apple. We wouldn't need to work today if the devil hadn't assumed the form of a serpent. El pasado condicional da de sí para mucho, mucho inglés. Es precioso. I'll see you in a few minutes after our next teacher to close. No, I think we'll have some station breaks, okay? All right? And see our sponsors. You know, it's true that if Adam and Eve, Adán y Eva, otra vez estoy con esos otros, if Adam and Eve hadn't disobeyed God, we wouldn't have to work today. We would be living in paradise. And women could have babies without feeling pain. Childbirth wouldn't be painful if Adam and Eve had obeyed God. If they hadn't been tempted, tentados, if they hadn't been tempted by the devil in the form of a snake, everything would be different today. Yeah, life wouldn't be the same today. We would be living in paradise. We wouldn't need to wear clothes, everything. We wouldn't feel shame, or we wouldn't feel bad about things. Yeah, and we wouldn't need the past conditional maybe. Who knows? All right, one more teacher and then I'll be back.
Thank you, Richard. My name's David Waddell, and it's time to put into practice everything that he's just explained. Now, I'm here with Beatriz. How are you today, Beatriz?
Fine.
But you're a little bit nervous because this topic is not very easy, is it?
Yeah,
It's the third conditional in the interrogative. Now, everybody thinks that this is probably one of the most difficult things in English, but really it's not. It's just about sounds, yeah? The important thing is not to think too much about the individual words. Just listen to how I say it and repeat, yeah? So, for example, habrías ido, would you have gone? Would you have gone? Would you have, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Es solo un sonido, would you have. ¿Puedes decir esto?
Would you have come?
Would you have? Would you have?
Would you have?
Would you have?
Would you have?
Yo no estoy diciendo would you have. I'm saying would you have. Otra vez?
Would you have?
Would you have?
Would you have?
Would you have? Would you have? Escucha. Would you have?
Would you have?
Así. Perfecto, ¿ya? Hay que intentar olvidar las palabras, ¿sí? Porque a veces despisten, ¿ya? Would you have, would you have, would you have, nadie lo dice así. Would you have gone, would you have done it, would you have seen him, yeah? Another one, for example, another one, would she have, yeah? Would she have, ella, yeah? Would she have, repeat.
Would she have?
Would she have,
Would she have?
not have, no estoy diciendo esto. Would she have,
Would she have?
would she have,
Would she have?
así.
Would she have?
Would she have, yeah?
Okay.
Would they have, would we have, would I have, would they have, would you have, yeah? Try and say them this way. It's much easier, you will find. In the long run, it will be easier because that's how we say it. That's how we say it. We don't say, would you have, would you have, would he have, would she have, would they have, would we have, yeah? Then the rest, of course, is the past perfect. I'd, you'd, he'd, they'd, yeah? With a contraction, I had. We don't say I had. We say I'd. So let's have a go, shall we? Let's have a go. I will give you the sentence in Spanish, and I want you to try and translate it, okay? So, for example, si te hubiesen invitado, ¿habrías ido? Venga.
If they had,
If they'd
if they'd invited you,
yeah?
would you have?
Would you have?
Would you have?
Would you
gone?
have?
Would you have?
Would you have?
Would you? I can't say it.
Yes, you can. Would you have?
Would you have?
Yeah, pero olvídate de las palabras. Would you have? Solo repita el sonido. Would you have?
Would you have?
Así.
Would you? Okay.
So, would you have gone?
That's it.
So, repeat.
Would you have done? Would you have? No.
Would you have?
Would you?
Would you have?
Would you have gone?
Okay, would you have gone? It's okay. If they'd invited you, would you have gone? If they'd invited you, would you have gone? See? You can hear it? You can hear how I say it? Yeah? Would you have gone? Would you have gone? Okay, the next one. Si hubiera sido importante, ¿me lo habrían dicho ellos?
If it had,
If it had,
if it had been important,
yeah.
they would have.
Would they have? Would they have?
Would they have told me?
Would they have told me? One more time. Would they have told me? Repeat that.
Would they have told me?
Would they have told me with the lengua?
Would they have told me?
Okay, okay. So, one more time. Si hubiera sido importante, ¿me lo habrían dicho?
If it
it-
had been
If it had-
if it had been important, would they have
Would
told
they
me?
have? Would they have?
Would they have told me?
Okay, very good. So, if it had been important, would they have told me? If it had been important, would they have told me? Solo son sonidos, ¿sí? Would they have told me? Would they have told me? Si piensas en las palabras, a veces es más difícil, creo yo. Ok, si ella hubiera estudiado más, ¿habría aprobado el examen?
If she'd studied more,
Very good. Would she have?
would she have?
Would she have?
Would she have passed the exam?
Good. Would she have passed the exam? Would she have passed the exam? Dilo. Would she have passed the exam? Solo esto.
Would she have passed the exam?
Again, one more time.
Would she have passed the exam?
Would she have? No decimos have.
Yeah.
Would she have?
Would she have? Would she have passed the exam?
Perfecto. Muy bien. Okay. So if she'd studied more, would she have passed the exam? Would she have passed the exam? Would she have? Would she have? Would she have? Nunca decimos esto. Would she have? Would she have? Okay, the next one. Si hubiera llovido, ¿habrías ido a la playa?
If it
If it had rained.
I can't.
You can. If it had rained.
If it had.
No. If it had. Escucha. If it had rained.
If it had rained.
Así.
Would you have? Would you have gone? Would you have gone
Yeah, to the
beach?
Good, okay. Would you have gone to the beach? Would you have gone to the beach? Would you have gone to the beach? Repítelo 3 veces.
Would you have gone to the beach?
Would you have gone to the beach?
Would you have gone to the beach?
Would you have? Would you have?
Would you have gone to the beach?
Okay, third time.
Would you have gone to the beach?
Good. Would you have gone to the beach? Would you have gone to the beach? Okay, the next one. Si hubieras hecho un esfuerzo, Habrías ganado.
If you'd done an effort.
If you'd made an effort, we say here, made an effort.
If you've
If
made.
you'd made an effort.
If you've made an effort.
You'd made an effort.
If you've.
You'd. You had.
If you'd. If
Made.
you'd made an effort.
Yes.
You.
Habrías ganado.
Would you've won?
Would you have won? Won, bajando la mandíbula. Would you have won? Go on.
Would you have won?
Would you have?
Ay. Would you have won?
Así, would you have won? Es perfecto, está bien. Hay que practicarlo, es muy importante. Esa es la primera vez que lo has dicho así. Hay que repetirlo 5,000 veces, ¿sabes? Para cogerlo, pero es un principio, ¿ya? Okay, next one. Okay, now we're going to change the clauses, yeah? So, ¿lo habrías hecho si lo hubiese sabido?
Would you
have?
Would you have done it if you'd known it?
If you'd known, no hace falta it. So, would you have done it if you'd known? Would you have done it if you'd known? Repeat.
Would you have done it if you'd known?
Would you have?
Would you have?
Would
No.
you have?
Would you've? No.
Ah, sí, es un sonido, solo. Would you have? Would you have? Would you have? Again?
Would you have?
Yeah?
Would you have done it if you'd known it?
If you'd known. Would you have done it if you'd known? Would you have done it if you'd known? Would you have? Would you have? Okay, one more. ¿Habrías firmado el contrato si hubieras leído la letra pequeña? La letra pequeña is the small print. So, would you have?
Would you have signed the contract if you'd
You'd. Is that solo you had? You'd.
if you'd
Yes.
read the small word?
The small print,
small
we
print.
say. Okay, so would you have signed the contract if you'd read the small print? That's all we have time for. But practice these sounds. It's very important. You'd have. Would you have? Would you have? Would he have? Yeah? Would they have? Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back again to our last segment of this class. And today we're going to... I can't remember what I was going to do. My mind has completely gone blank. Yeah. Let's see. What was I going to do? I'm blank. I'm sorry. My mind has gone completely blank. Yeah. Let's see. The last segment we were talking about the conditional. I think the conditional. The third conditional, the past conditional. Yeah. But we were talking about some people. I can't remember. My mind has completely gone blank. I'm starting to get old. You notice. You can see my gray hair. These are my temples. Escrito temple, como el templo de bod, the bod temple. All right? But temples también las tienes. My temples are turning white. Yeah. It means I'm más sabio, pero también más olvidadizo. I'm wiser but more forgetful. Okay? That's why. Es por eso por lo que. Es por eso por lo que. 6 palabras, en inglés 2. That's why. Bueno, miento, son 3 porque hay una contracción. That is why. That's why people like me, especially top executives, they need 2 or 3 secretaries because they need memories. All right? People my age and older are very good managers for the strategic and policy areas of a company, but not for the day-to-day operations because you need a memory. And my mind is completely gone blank. Let's see. Okay, the conditional. You know, maybe if I change to camera 1, maybe my memory will come back and I'll remember what I want to do. But you know, I can't remember if camera 1 is in that direction or in that direction. My mind has completely gone blank. Maria, it's that way, right? Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. Let's see. My mind has completely gone blank. I'm at a loss to remember. Yeah, we were talking about the Bible. Do you remember? Yeah. We were talking about Adam and Eve. Yeah, Adam and Eve, our first ancestors. Yes, now I remember. Yes, they were in the Garden of Eden, remember? Yeah, And there was a tree, and they weren't supposed to eat the fruit. An apple tree. Apple tree, very pretty, and the apple, etc. No, this was lemon tree, no? Yeah, that's a different song, I'm sorry. Apple tree, no. Lemon tree. A ver? Apple tree, very pretty, and the apple flower is sweet, but the fruit of the no, because apples are good. Lemons, for some people, are good, but most people don't eat lemons. But let's see. Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. They weren't supposed to eat the fruit, but they did. They ate the apple, and if they hadn't eaten the apple, everything would have been okay. But because they ate the apple, God, where did God send them? I don't remember. My mind has gone blank again. My mind has gone completely blank. Ah, yes, God sent them east of Eden, al este de Edén, right? No, I'm confused. My mind is a blank. It's a complete blank. Let's see. No, sorry, they didn't go east of Eden. That was their son, Cain. You remember later, they had two children, Cain and Abel. And Cain killed Abel. You remember? And then God saw Cain, and he said, Cain, where's your brother? And Cain said, I'm not my brother's keeper. ¿Acaso soy guardián de mi hermano? I'm not my brother's keeper. And God said, Cain, you killed your brother. And he sent Cain east of Eden. So, but Adam and Eve, before Cain and Abel were born, yeah, I don't know where they went, but they had to leave paradise. They had to leave the Garden of Eden. And from then on, la expresión de ahora en adelante is from now on. Pero de ese momento en el pasado en adelante is from then on. From then on, from now on. Okay? Now, what was I talking about? I completely forgot what I was saying. Let's see, I was teaching from now on and from then on. My mind has gone blank, completely blank. I'm not sure if I'm the right person to teach this class. On television, it's not the same, because in a normal classroom, if my mind goes blank, one of the students says, hablabas de Adán y Eva. Oh, ya fuera del paraíso. Ya fuera. Oh, okay. So, but here on television, I can't hear you if you want to remind me. Say, oye, hey, come on, teacher, you were talking about Adam and Eve, the book of Genesis in the Bible. The book of Genesis, yes. Okay, yeah. Now I remember, yeah. Adam and Eve had to leave paradise. They had to leave the Garden of Eden because they ate the apple. If they hadn't eaten the apple, none of these problems would have taken place, and our lives would be different today. But they left, and they had two children. First they had Cain, and then they had Abel. You remember? Yes. And the two boys grew up. And when they were young men, they were apparently obedient to God, and they made sacrifices, offerings, ofrendas. An offer, una oferta, is an offer. Por cierto, muchos de los españoles cometéis un error poniendo una T cuando queréis decir una oferta. Offered. No, quita la T. I want to make you, quiero hacerte una oferta. I want to make you an offer. Offer. Como el verbo ofrecer, to offer, es lo mismo. Ahora bien, una ofrenda is an offering. ING al final. Eso ya es tipo ofrenda religiosa, de sacrificar un carnero, por ejemplo. ¿Ok? El ram. ¿Ok? Como leche ram. Eso es como se dice carnero en inglés. Ram. So, these two boys grew up, and they both made offerings to God. However, Abel's offerings were sincere. His offerings demonstrated his love for God. But Cain's weren't sincere. And God didn't accept. Fijaos en la pronunciación de accept. God didn't accept Cain's offerings because Cain's mind was not sincere in his offerings. And so Cain got angry. And he became envious. La envidia. He was envious of his brother. And so he killed his brother. So Cain wouldn't have killed his brother if he hadn't become envious. God wouldn't have rejected Cain's offerings if Cain had offered the sacrifice in a sincere way. Okay? And all of this wouldn't have happened. We are the descendants of Cain. All right. I'll be back in just a few minutes after our next teacher to close the program.
Hi everybody, I'm Hannah, and we're here again with all of you at home to practice what you've just learned from Richard. So I really hope that you paid a lot of attention, because now we're going to put you to the test. Okay, poneros a prueba. But first, we're going to say hello to my very special student, David. Hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, we're going to start with some vocabulary.
Okay,
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Let's see if you know these words, starting with visión de futuro. Previsión.
Foresight,
Good. Excellent. Repeat again.
foresight,
Okay, great. Foresight. Again.
foresight,
Yes. All right. Foresight. 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 Repeat after me. Foresight. Great. The second one we have is provisional. Temporal.
tentative,
Excellent. Repeat again.
tentative,
Okay, very good. Tentative. Tentative. Now pay attention to where we put the emphasis. It's on the first syllable. Tentative. Tentative. I have tentative plans for tonight. Okay? Next, we have ladrón de casas.
burglar,
Good. Repeat again.
burglar,
Okay, burglar.
burglar,
Burglar.
burglar,
Okay, great. Burglar, burglar. Esa U, that U at the beginning sounds like an E. Burglar. Burglar. All right, so burglar, burglar. It almost sounds like burger, but a little bit different. Burglar, burglar. All right, next we have contratación de personal.
recruitment,
Excellent. Repeat again. Good.
recruitment,
Okay, wonderful. Great. So recruitment, recruitment, recruitment. All right. So recruit, recruit. Está I, that I there no sirve para nada. So don't pay any attention to that I. It's almost completely silent. It is silent. So recruitment, recruitment. And finally we have prevenir or evitar.
to prevent,
Okay, very good. Repeat.
to prevent,
Yes, to prevent. Prevent. And again, pay attention to the pronunciation. Prevent. The emphasis falls on the second syllable. All right, the second syllable. Prevent. Prevent. All right, so let's continue. We're going to practice the expression to go blank. To go blank. Oh my goodness, I'm going blank. To go blank. Quedarse en blanco, right? When you don't know what to say, you don't know what's going to happen, and you just, oh, I don't know. All right, so let's look at some examples. When did you last go blank?
I last went blank
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
Perfect. Okay, good. All right, great. So when did you last go blank? So I last went blank 2 weeks ago. I last went blank this morning. I last went blank yesterday. All right. Do you often go blank?
No, I hardly ever go blank.
Okay, very good. Great. So I hardly ever go blank. Casi nunca, o muy pocas veces, right? I hardly ever go blank. Well, good for you. That means you have a good memory.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
All right, next example. Ask me when I last went blank.
When did you last go blank?
Okay, good. Repeat again.
When did you last go blank?
Okay, good. I last went blank this morning. Good. All right, ask me again.
When did you last go blank?
Perfect. Very good. So when did you last go blank? Do you remember the last time that you went blank? Maybe in the middle of a meeting or in the middle of a phone call, or when someone asked you the last time that you went blank and you went blank, which would make sense. Okay, now, do you sometimes go blank in class?
Yes, I sometimes go blank in class.
Okay, very good. But that's okay. We're very patient here. We're very forgiving, okay? So yes, I sometimes go blank in class. Well, me too. The teacher also goes blank sometimes. Okay, not often, but occasionally. You know, once in a blue moon, right? You know that expression?
Once in a blue moon.
Yes, once in a blue moon. So once in a blue moon, I go blank.
Okay.
All right. Now, do you sometimes go blank on stage?
I only went blank once on stage.
Okay, so I've only, because we're talking about en toda tu
Okay.
vida.
I've only gone blank once on a stage.
Perfect, excellent, bien. So remember, we're talking about en toda tu vida. We have to use pretérito perfecto, present perfect. Okay, so I've only gone blank once on stage. So instead of one time, once. Okay, so repeat the sentence again.
I've only gone blank once on a stage.
Excellent, muy bien. I've only gone blank once on stage. On stage, because David here is a very good actor. Yes, you're a wonderful
Thank you.
actor.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So, ask me if I ever go blank in class.
Have you ever
Oh, let me repeat. Ask me if I ever go blank in class. So,
Do you ever go blank in class?
Okay, muy bien. So, do you ever go blank in class? Yes, sometimes I go blank in class, or occasionally, or rarely, or once in a while, once in a blue moon. Okay, so ask me if I ever go blank on set.
Do you ever go blank on set?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I definitely go blank on set. You know, again, once in a blue moon. Very, very few times I've gone blank on set. Sometimes I just freeze, right? So me quedo congelada. Okay. All right, next. If I introduce you to Martin Scorsese, will you go blank?
Yes, if you introduce me to Martin Scorsese, I will probably go blank.
Okay, very good. I'm sure anyone or everyone would go blank if they were introduced to Martin Scorsese. Wow, right? Yes, and I know you're a big fan of his.
Yes, I am.
All right, now, do you go blank when you're nervous?
Yes, I sometimes go blank when I'm nervous.
Okay, good. Repeat again.
Yes, I sometimes go blank when I'm nervous.
Yes, muy bien. Okay, good. I think everyone does. Okay, so do you go blank when you are nervous or when you get nervous? Yes, I go blank when I'm nervous. I think everyone does. Now, do you go blank when you're sad?
No, I don't go blank. I don't go blank when I'm sad.
Okay, do you go blank when you're angry?
No, I don't go blank when I'm angry.
Okay, very good, good. Because sometimes a lot of people go blank when they're angry. You know, when you're so angry you can't think of anything to say, right? You're just frozen. Again, congelados. You're frozen. So you're so angry that you just completely go blank. Te quedas en blanco totalmente. All right. Did you go blank in our last class?
No, I didn't go blank in the last class.
Okay, good. In our last class.
What?
In our last class.
Okay. No, I didn't go blank in our last class.
Okay, very good. Good job. All right, I hope you don't go blank in this class because I'll see you next time. Now you have to go back to Richard. Bye-bye.
All right. Class 28. We're moving forward. The past conditional, it's not difficult to practice. You can take any event in the past and transform moments of every big event into good past conditionals. If Napoleon Bonaparte, if Napoleon hadn't invaded Russia, he wouldn't have lost the war. If Hitler hadn't invaded Russia, he wouldn't have lost the Second World War. If the United States hadn't entered the Second World War in 1941, Germany would have been in control of Europe for a much longer time. If Germany had won the Second World War, you would be learning German now and not English, etc. The past conditional. Let's work on it more in the future. Thank you.